So, got a brand new look. It's almost a brand new month. We're embarking upon a brand new season. Same Louis T Network podcast that you've come to know and love. Preseason week number 3, officially in the books. We're going to break that down today. And then we're going to start turning our attention to these 53-man rosters and getting ready for the 2021 NFL season. Don't you love the smell of fresh football? Who else could it be but me, your man, Louis T? Welcome to a brand new installment of the Louis T Network podcast. 196th, I believe. We're getting awfully close to 200. I, of course, am your set man, Louis T. Thank you for joining me. The news of these cuts are starting to trickle in. Nothing really noteworthy yet. No big bombshells, no surprises anywhere around the league, not in Washington or anywhere else. I think in Washington, I've heard at least guys that we expected to get cut. You know, no names that are surprising that we thought maybe could make the team. Jonathan Williams, running back, wasn't going to make the team. Steven Montez, quarterback, wasn't going to make the team. And John Toth, who got cut originally when they chopped the roster down to 80. Then they brought him back after they cut Tamarick Hemingway. He got released again. So every single one of those dudes that got cut today are practice squad candidates. We'll see what happens. But again, no big names around the league quite yet, but you know, that's subject to change over the next 36 hours. Well, really the next 24 hours, because I think by 4 o'clock tomorrow, these rosters have to be trimmed down to 53. So we should be hearing quite a bit of news over the next 24 hours or so. Anyway, let's get to, first of all, I got a shout out to my guy. I think it was one person before that. Let's check and see. I want to make sure I'm getting to the right person. Sturmix. What's up, Sturmix? Big shout out to Sturmix for being the first in the comment section. And I can see it on one screen. I can't see it on the other screen. So I'm going to give a shout out to my guy, Jay Breadman, as well. Big ups to Jay Breadman and Sturmix for being co-leaders in the clubhouse, is the first to comment in the comment section of this video. With that said, let's jump into today's gem dropping session, shall we? I think we shall. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louis T double E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, I've been having this conversation for the better part of 2 weeks now. I guess you could say 3 now that we're in the final week of the preseason. And it's been a discussion, really, I told you there's no clear-cut way to do this. There's no right or wrong way. I have my theory on how it should be done. What I would do if I were a coach. And then you can do whatever you like. And these teams obviously have done it the way they feel like is the best way to do it. I've said this, there are multiple ways to skin a preseason game. In this case, a preseason finale. This is the first year of 3 preseason games. So it was unique, it was different. But this is going to be the norm moving forward. 3 preseason games, you're going to have an additional week between off week between your first game. So you should have 2 weeks before your first regular season contest after you play your final preseason game. That is different than it has been in the past. That said, over half the league decided they wanted no parts of the final preseason game with their starters. I think that number is way too large, but again, to each its own. And I told you, by the time we get to the regular season, nobody will be talking about teams not playing. If you get off to a slow start, you lose that ball game, yeah, maybe the conversation comes up. That's it. It'll be one game and then you're done. You're not going to, this isn't something that's going to impact you for the first month of the season because you didn't play your starters in the preseason. It's a conversation we may have if you come out of the gate slow, stumbling in week one, and that's it. So it's not that big of a deal. But I just want to reiterate my position because J.K. Dobbins got hurt over the weekend. Tore his ACL, and he may have done even more damage to his knee. The reports are still out there that there could even be more damage than just an ACL. Could be an MCL, and you know how it goes when you start listing off different CLs, PCL, LCL. Could be multiple ligaments that were impacted in the game on Saturday afternoon, evening. It's more of the evening than the afternoon versus Washington in the preseason finale for the Baltimore Ravens, who won their 20th consecutive preseason game, which is insane. And a lot of people felt like, and I was adamant that Ron Rivera made a mistake by not playing his guys. And I'm sticking to that. I'm not moving off of that because J.K. Dobbins got hurt and everybody's like, oh, well, Ron proved that he was right because J.K. Dobbins got hurt. No, that didn't prove anything. J.K. Dobbins got hurt. It's football. People get hurt. Okay, so I'm gonna state my position one more time and then we're gonna move on because I don't want to keep beating this horse. It's dead already. But I want to give you my perspective and where I'm coming from on this discussion. You'll have all the information, and then I'm not looking to convince you to change over to the way I see it. I just want to give you the reason why I feel the way I feel. And again, there's no wrong way, right or wrong way to do this. You're going to get killed either way if things don't work out. So it doesn't matter. So my whole stance on this, playing your players or not playing your players, you don't have to play them in every preseason game. And I've given you a prerequisite in the past about how I would go about my business if I were a coach. But honestly, this third preseason game is the one that matters the most to me. You know, the first two, whatever. You don't play your guys, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. There are more preseason games. This is the last one. This is the last tune-up before the start of the regular season. I think it is important that you get your guys out there. Even if it's only for a possession like Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, just to get your feet wet. Why the hell not? Okay, these guys haven't seen live bullets all. And don't talk to me about practices against other teams. That's bullshit too, because again, your quarterback can't get hit. So don't talk to me about scrimmaging the team that you're playing that upcoming week and saying, well, I got work against a different defense. That's cool, but it's still not the real thing. Okay, still not the real thing. That quarterback still has a different colored jersey on that nobody can touch. So I still don't view that as the same thing. Your other guys may be getting real work, but the quarterback can't get hit, so it's still not real football. You're mimicking real football, but it's still not the real thing. This is how I choose to live my life. And I talk about sports being a microcosm of life. And a lot of times that you see it in sports and then you see it in society or vice versa. So I choose to live my life unafraid. You always hear about things happening and you don't want them to happen to you. But if you listen to all of the things out there that could go wrong, you would live your life in fear and you would do nothing all day except sit at home. I'll give you a bunch of examples of how my life has been shaped to the way that it is. And then I'll tell you why I feel the way I feel and then we'll move on. So when I was a kid, I used to love hot dogs. My mom, one of the broke people meals that you eat when you're a kid. Well, I did. I can't speak for you. My parents are from the Virgin Islands, so they do things a little differently than, some other parents do. But one of the meals we used to have, my mom would make this random ass sauce, cut up a bunch of hot dogs, throw them in the sauce, cook them, and we'd eat them. And I loved it. And when you're a kid, you don't know that, hey, that's a broke person meal, but it tasted great to me. I didn't have any problems eating it. Loved hot dogs. And then when I got to about age 10, there was a study that came out that said people who eat a lot of hot dogs have a greater risk of getting cancer. I was 10. I said, man, I don't want cancer. So I stopped eating hot dogs. I haven't had a hot dog since. Now, think about applying things like that to your life. If you, every time you heard something negative, you said, not going to do that. Let's bring it to current time and the current space that we're in. COVID-19 hits. Everyone's scared. I was scared. I was still working a 9 to 5 at that time. And my job pretty much said, bro, you got to go to work. You don't get to take off. We need you out there in the field. At that time, we didn't know what COVID-19 was, how your body reacted to it, and if you were going to die if you got it. All we knew is that more likely than not, if you weren't an old elderly person or you didn't have some real serious underlying conditions, you'll probably be okay. But we can't confirm that. But more likely than not, you'll be okay. Well, what about when I'm 50? Is it going to affect me? I can't tell you that. I don't know what's going to happen 30 years down the road to your body if you get COVID-19 right now. Don't ask me. I can't tell you what kind of lasting effects it's going to have. But more likely than not, you'll be okay. Interesting. So in the early stages, much like everybody else, I was afraid. As human beings, we are afraid of the unknown. So I decided I'm going to keep my behind in the house. Better safe than sorry. And I did that for a pretty long time. Didn't go out anywhere other than to the store and to work and back home. And then I realized this sucks. Not being able to do anything, not being able to go anywhere, not interacting with other people. And we got more information, and that was the most important thing. We got more information on COVID and how it was going to affect you for the most part. Now, there's a variant out there running rampant right now, and still, a lot of information that we don't have on that. But at the end of the day, you know what I decided? I can't live my life in fear. I'm going to take every precautionary step I can to protect myself and my family, but I'm not going to live my life in fear. I got a best friend. Doesn't want to go anywhere that requires the use of an airplane. Doesn't think that he needs to see the world. Why do I need to go anywhere? I can just get in my car. Well, because you can't get everywhere in a car. And if you can get there by a car, doesn't mean you want to get there by a car. I live in Virginia. I can get to Las Vegas by vehicle. Do I really want to waste that much time driving to Las Vegas from Virginia? Nah, not exactly. But his idea of getting on a plane means that you could potentially die. He's not wrong. But people seem to fail to realize that getting on an airplane is one of the safest modes of travel, period. Sure, you could die getting on an airplane. I've been told you could die walking out of your house. You could get struck by lightning. A car could hit you. Anything could happen. Doesn't stop you from leaving your house, though. You know the rules to the game, though, right? You know the rules. Anytime you leave your house, hell, in your house, you could die. Something catastrophic could happen to you. You could slip, fall, trip, fall down the damn steps, break your neck, and it's over. Anything could happen. You walk outside your house, lightning strikes you. You walk out of your house, somebody's having a gunfight 3 blocks down the road, and a stray bullet hits you. Anything could happen. But you still play because you know the rules to the game. Because you can't be afraid of everything. That's on a much serious, larger scale, right? Now let's dial it down a bit and talk about football. If I were an NFL coach, I know the rules to the game. I know that anytime I put my players on the field, they can get injured. Guess what? The players know what they're signing up for. And they know anytime they play, anytime they step across the white lines, they themselves can get injured. And that's on the practice field too. Shit, guys have gotten injured going to get pizza and torn an Achilles. You don't have to be playing football to get hurt. But it's more likely that you could get hurt playing. But they know what they're signing up for. They know the rules. They know the risks. They know the parameters. They still do it. As a coach, you can't coach scared. That would be my philosophy. I can't go out here scared that every time I put these guys on the field, they're going to get hurt. So I'm going to put them in bubble wrap on the sidelines. You know how you get better at football? By playing football, by actually playing football. Practice is cool. That helps. But in this particular case, practice don't make perfect. Playing games makes perfect, okay? Actually having a team that isn't your own and actually having a team that can lay hands on your quarterback actually makes you better. Making mistakes against a team in a real game situation makes you better. Making plays against a team in a real game situation makes you better. You know how you figure out that, man, we really messed up in this situation? It's to actually go out and mess up in the situation so you can go back and watch and then fix it. Hard to do that in a practice setting when the other team can't hit your quarterback. Hey, that would have been a sack. That might have been a sack. Who knows? Mahomes might have gotten away. We don't know. But I'm telling you, I would have sacked him. I ran by him. I could only touch him. I couldn't even touch him. I could breathe on him. I couldn't even breathe on him. The bottom line is these are football players. And they know what they're signing up for. And these are coaches. And they know what the rules are. If I were a coach, I'm not saying you got to play your players in every single preseason game, but you can't coach scared. The only way your players are going to get better is to play them in game situations. To me, the third preseason game, because there is no fourth preseason game this year, I would have treated it like the dress rehearsal way back when there were 4 preseason games. We're in this brave new world now where there are only 3, and now everybody's lost their damn mind because once upon a time when there were 3 preseason games, everybody played their starters in that third preseason game. It was rare. You might have 1 or 2, maybe 3 coaches that stray away, say, I'm not playing my guys at all. That was rare, though. It's the same concept, same premise. The third preseason game hasn't changed. The only thing that changed is that they didn't stick another meaningless game behind it. They just trimmed off the fat. So can somebody explain to me what happened from having 4 and deciding that it's a great idea to play my guys in this third preseason game to now all of a sudden there's no 4th preseason game. You still got 2 weeks between that third preseason game and your first regular season game. All of a sudden now I can't play my guys. I can't risk them getting hurt. What happened in that small span of time that altered everybody's thought process that says I can't play my guy all of a sudden in the third preseason game? The only thing that changed is they took a meaningless 4th game away. The time period between the third preseason game and the start of the regular season is exactly the same. Somebody help me. Help me understand why all of a sudden nobody wants to play their guys in the third preseason game. It's no longer the game before the last preseason game. It is the last preseason game. It's the same thing though. I just look at it this way. As a coach, I couldn't be scared to put my players on the field. Anything can happen. You could not play your players, I've said this already, the entire preseason. They get out there and the very first snap in the regular season, a guy could get injured and be done for the season. What are you going to say then? Well, at least he got to play in the regular season. Who gives a shit? Preseason, regular season, it doesn't matter. If a guy gets hurt, he gets hurt. It's going to happen. It's a part of the game. You don't want anybody to get hurt. The Ravens could have not played J.K. Dobbins in Saturday's preseason game. He could have gotten the same injury on the first possession of the regular season game, and what would you have said? Well, they didn't play him in the third preseason game. He got hurt in the first game of the regular season. That sucks, but at least it wasn't a preseason. Okay, well, he's got stats for the 2021 regular season. Great. He's got 8 yards rushing. That's it. Nice. I know this much. I look around at the league, and the best teams are the ones that are playing their players. I just know that. It's amazing to me. All the sorry teams, all the teams that were absolutely ass-tastic last year are the ones deciding, I'm not really going to play my squad. It's the ones that are really good that they get it. It's football. The only way I can be prepared for my opponent coming up in a couple of weeks, the best way, I shouldn't say the only way, one of the best ways I can prepare my team is to actually go out and execute the thing that we're going to be asked to execute for the next 3 months, 4 months of the year into next year. Let's play football. Yeah, you got, the Seahawks, you got the Packers, teams like that. I already said, you got a veteran like that. Okay, I get it. Matthew Stafford, Rams, I don't really love the way Sean McVay handled the preseason, but whatever. You think practice against other teams and scrimmages during the week of practice is fine and you don't need to play in the preseason game, that's fine. Okay, whatever. He's got Matthew Stafford. That guy gets it. I don't worry about those teams. I'm talking about the teams that have a second-year quarterback and you decide. Like, Sean McVay can do that in L.A. with his team. They did win a playoff game. They have been to the Super Bowl before. You can't do what other teams do just because you came from that outfit. You think it's okay, Brandon Staley with the Chargers. You got a second-year quarterback. You got a young team. You don't know what winning looks like, but you don't want to play your players? What? Really? Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking around the league at some of these teams, and I'm just baffled. Just dumbfounded. But anyway, like I said, there are multiple ways to skin a preseason finale. What's yours? That's mine. So we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back on the other side, and we're going to jump into slate skating. Week 3 of the preseason, knock it down. We'll go through this real quick because it was, again, a lot of teams decided to punt on the third preseason game for whatever reason. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time. If you decided you weren't going to spend a lot of time on preseason game number 3, I'm going to make sure I don't just divulge that much energy to preseason game number 3 that you played in as well. So I'm going to do my part. In any event, I'm going to come back on the other side and we're going to chop it up about the preseason. Maybe take a few comments. Hopefully we get to through this in enough time that I can take a few comments. I see some comments lining up out there. So you are tuned into the 196th installment of the Louis T Network podcast. I will see you guys on the other side after a word from one of our sponsors. I want to take this time to thank Manscaped for sponsoring the Louis T Network podcast. Attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston, do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you've got zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code LouisT. Ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than a Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped that is just taken off not only in the US, but Canada, the UK, and across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their 4.0 lawnmower trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 lawnmower trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on your journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even your anus. You see what we did there? This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on and off switch which can engage a travel lock and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Pause. Don't forget to use Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little planets on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. Abort hairy balls and Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Louis T at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Louis T at manscaped.com. For a clean Trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you. Welcome back to the 196th installment of the Louis T Network podcast. Let me tell you something real quick. You don't really realize how badly your balls stink until your balls actually stink. I ran out of my Manscaped products. I got to hit my rep up and say, look, man, you got to send me some more stuff ASAP. Whew, my joints were funky the other day. Took those off and it was Raunch City. So if you're out there with some musty balls, and I know a lot of you don't really buy the hype, trust me, Manscaped works. Do yourself a huge solid and get you some. Use the promo code Louis T to do that. Anyway, I digress. Before we go slate skating, I got a couple of super chats. I want to knock these out real quick. Eric DeBose, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Eric DeBose, I think you probably made a mistake the first time. Double up, so we can combine your 2 super chats. Really do appreciate you, Eric DeBose. My guy Eric writes, what up, Lou? What up, Eric? Lurker come to life, LOL. Welcome to the club, man. Welcome to the club. Great content, bro. Thank you so much, Eric. I really appreciate you. He says, I feel that in the draft, we should have taken Owusu Koromoa in the 2nd round, a steal. I mean, he was sitting there. If they wanted to double up at the linebacker position, they could have done so. But they didn't. I really felt like we should have doubled up at linebacker. I'm not saying that we needed to go first 2 rounds linebacker, because I think tackle was more important than getting another linebacker. I just felt like they should have done something at linebacker later on in the draft. You know, they felt like they had to get a long snapper. Okay, cool. So they drafted one in the, 6th round, I believe? Cameron Cheeseman was the 6th round. Might have been the 5th. Either way, they traded back up into the draft to get additional picks. I thought, one of the positions they should have knocked out was another linebacker. But they took the guys that they thought were the best available on their board. They'd also met a need. I'm not mad at it. But, I think the lack of depth at linebacker is shown. But again, you can't fix everything in one offseason. So I'm not that upset, They know, like I saw somebody saying, we need to go get KJ Wright. For what? Exactly. KJ Wright is a linebacker you add onto your team if you're close to winning something big, and you've got a void at one of your linebacker positions. That's not us. We're a young team. We're building. You don't want 33-year-old KJ Wright. You want 23-year-old KJ Johnson. That's who you want. Not 33-year-old KJ Wright. Thank you for that super chat, Vincent, Eric DeBose. Got a couple here from Vincent Coe. Thank you for the super chat, Vincent Coe. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Vincent Coe, writes, been a minute, Lou. Hope I find you're doing well. Yes, it has been a while. Good to hear from you, Vince. And everything is going splendid on this end. Hopefully the same can be said for you. Big shout out to those in New Orleans or those who have been affected by Hurricane Ida. Hopefully you are holding up well and have power and running water and all the necessities that you need to live a life that is free of a lot of the things that people take for granted. That's a serious deal. Mother Nature can be cruel at times, and seeing some of the destruction and carnage from Ida, New Orleans seems to always get the worst end of things, man, I swear. Them in Florida, I don't know how anyone could feel like that's if that's home, that's home. But it's rough, man. It's rough in New Orleans. Vincent Coe also writes, thank you. First of all, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Vincent Coe. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Vincent Coe also writes, what do you think of the Jamar Chase situation? We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that here in a little bit when we get to the breakdown of the Dolphins-Bengals game here in a bit. So stay tuned for that. Let me just make one request out there. There are over 100 viewers, only 34 likes. Come on, guys. Why do we have to have this conversation all the time? Seriously, if you're a supporter, if you don't enjoy the content, then you don't have to hit the like button. But the assumption, that I could be wrong for assuming, you know what they say about when you assume things, but the assumption is if you're here that you enjoy the content, you enjoy the conversation that we're having, hit the like button. Okay, if you're out there and you're a mod, encourage them to hit the like button. All right, so week 3 slate skating. I didn't even ask you guys to put your skates on. How rude of me. I don't want to leave you, so I'm going to give you a second to put on your skates. I got my rollerblades on. They're nice and tight around the ankle. I should have no issues. I'm ready to take off, but I didn't tell you guys to put your skates on. So put your skates on because we're going to go through this real quick. Keep up, okay? We're going to fly through these games because, again, a lot of teams decided preseason game number 3 simply wasn't worth it. And that's okay. Again, got no problems with teams making that decision. My problem is that so many teams decided to make that decision, and the bad ones were at the forefront. If the Seahawks want to do it, the Seahawks were in the divisional round last year, or was it? They got bounced in wild card weekend, right, by the Rams, right? Yeah, but they were in the playoffs. They won the division last year. The Rams don't want to do it. Sure, knock yourself out. They got an upgrade at the quarterback and a veteran, and they were in the divisional round last year. Knock yourself out. Green Bay, you were in the NFC Championship game the last 2 years. You can do whatever the hell you like. But teams like the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Chargers and the Washington football team, these teams, I don't understand why you think it's okay. I'm watching a lot of games around the league, and I'm just saying to myself, you're not good enough to be resting anybody. Your starters should be out there, even if it's only for a couple of possessions. Be one thing if you were clicking on all cylinders throughout camp and you lit it up in preseason game number 2. Well, I don't really need to see these guys. We haven't scored an offensive touchdown with our first team offense. Do you think it's okay to not play your starters in the 3rd preseason game? Okay. I mean, again, how did I get that? Put your damn skates on. Let's go. You got me down this rabbit hole again. We start with the Indianapolis Colts and the Detroit Lions. Neither team decided they were going to play any of their starters. So this game, 27-17 victory. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 teams that decided to play their starting quarterback in some semblance of their starters. 14 teams. Now, I think that's good for half of the league because Arizona and New Orleans, that game was canceled due to Hurricane Ida. So I'm assuming Murray would have gotten some work. And I know Sean Payton was going to play his guys more likely than not. But I can't say for sure. One of the teams in that game probably would have played one of their starters or their starting quarterback. And then you got some teams with guys out due to injury or COVID-related reasons. Like the Tennessee Titans with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'd like to think that Fitzpatrick might have gotten some run in this last preseason game. He hadn't played in the first 2. He might have played. Carson Wentz is injured in Indianapolis. Who knows? He might have played in the 3rd preseason game had he been healthy, but he's not. So they can't push the envelope there. So I'd like to think that about half of the league would have played in this last preseason game, which is just crazy to me. But anyway, neither of those teams played any of their guys. I will say this, for the Indianapolis Colts, Kwity Paye looks legit. Small sample size. I know I wasn't the biggest Kwity Paye fan when he was drafted. A lot of people tried to convince me, hey, I know the technique isn't there, but the guy is explosive and he's got all the workable traits you need to mold him into a dynamic pass rusher. I was like, okay, sure, you might be right. But I've seen dynamic guys come in the league and fail too. He looks like he could be legit. Forced a fumble in this game. Kwity Paye looks like he's got all the tools necessary. And if he's coached up well, he could be a problem. That's 2 weeks in a row I've seen him bag himself a quarterback. Quintez Cephas, 5th round draft pick last year, struggled last season with drop issues. He needs to have a strong season this year if he wants to remain a Detroit Lion. I think he's going to make their football team, obviously, because they don't have a lot of stuff in Detroit. But if he doesn't play well this year, I don't think he's back next year. So he had a touchdown grab, nice catch and run for a touchdown. They need him to step up. Like I said, they don't have a lot out there in Detroit. They need Quintez Cephas to step up. Anyway, on to the next game. Steelers at the Panthers. 34-9 beatdown at the hands of the Panthers for the Steelers. They decided to pass on this final preseason game. You know what? I don't have a problem with that. You were the last undefeated team last year. You got Ben Roethlisberger, who's 820 years old. You don't need to see him again. He played last week and was magnificent in his, I think, 2 possessions to start the game and 2 touchdown passes. You don't need to see him. I get it. So they started Dwayne Haskins and even sprinkled in some starters so he had a semblance of a team around him, so you couldn't make the excuse that, oh yeah, he didn't have anybody out there with him. Dwayne Haskins stinks. He's ass cheeks. And the thing about him is he will make 3 or 4 plays throughout the course of the game that make you say, wow, that was pretty damn impressive. They're tantalizing throws and moves, maneuvers that you say, I probably don't want my quarterback doing that from a mechanics standpoint, but the results are what they are, and you're like, man, that was pretty damn impressive. And then the rest of the game is just shit every time. 3 or 4 plays that make you say, this guy can be really good. And then every other play, you're like, what the hell was that? Yeah, he's terrible, man. I don't see him, making a dent in the Steelers organization. And maybe he needs more time. But the mechanics, to me, aren't fixable with him. And that's the biggest problem. Meanwhile, the Panthers decided, hey, we got to play Sam Darnold. We've been taking it easy with Sam. He didn't play in the first preseason game. We gave him a possession or 2 last game. Now we got to take the bubble wrap off. I love it. We didn't win but 5 games last year. We can't afford to have our guys on the bench. They played both their offensive and defensive starters for pretty much the entire first half. And Sam Darnold was outstanding. I told you, Joe Brady is magnificent. I think Sam Darnold has a chance to be really good because I believe in Joe Brady, their offensive coordinator. I think he's going to be a head coach in this league. Terrence Marshall, I thought, was fantastic in the entire preseason, continues to be that guy for them, and I think he's going to make a huge difference. They got a hell of a 3-headed monster out there, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and now Terrence Marshall. And then I thought Chuba Hubbard, that selection, quietly, no one's talking about it, because they got Christian McCaffrey. But one of the problems last year is when they lost McCaffrey, they didn't have a guy that could do Christian McCaffrey-like things. They had to separate all those jobs and give it to one guy. They had Mike Davis being their running back. They had another receiver come in and catch the football. Like you didn't have that in one body. Chuba Hubbard gives them a competent backup running back behind Christian McCaffrey. So I really like that pick, and he looks good in a Panthers uniform. He looks like he's going to be the perfect complement to Christian McCaffrey. When he needs a blow, they don't have to change what they do offensively because they don't have Christian McCaffrey in the game. They can still call the same plays. Obviously, Chuba Hubbard is not Christian McCaffrey, and I'm not saying that he is. I'm just telling you he's got talent, and he's got a skill set that is similar to that of Christian McCaffrey. Like that move, he was really good in this game, and he's been really good for the most part this preseason. Eagles at the Jets. This game played to a 31-31 tie. One of the new rules this year for the preseason, there is no overtime. If the game ends in a tie in regulation, then it's just a tie, which is a great rule. No one needs extra football in the preseason. So neither one of these teams played their quarterbacks, their starting quarterbacks. There were some guys out there that are going to be key contributors for both teams, but as far as them playing their starting quarterbacks, neither decided to do that. I don't understand that from the Jets' perspective, but whatever. Again, a lot of times, too, if you don't want to put your offensive lineman in harm's way, then you don't want to. Because if you put your quarterback out there, your starting quarterback, you got to put your starting offensive line out there. And if you don't want to put your starting offensive line, or you got a guy that's a key contributor on that offensive line, like your left tackle is dealing with a sore left ankle, but he's going to be fine for the regular season, but you don't want to play him, then yeah, I get it. But if you're just sitting guys just because it's too risky, oh, okay. Both teams sat their quarterbacks. So with the Eagles, their running back room is extremely deep. That was highlighted again in this game. Boston Scott with a crazy touchdown early in the game. And then Kenneth Gainwell has just been exceptional for them all preseason long. I think he's going to be a great fit in that room. And don't forget, obviously, their starting running back is really, really good for the Philadelphia Eagles in Miles Sanders. So I think their running back room is absolutely loaded. And Josh Johnson for the Jets, he looked really good. Josh Johnson isn't terrible. You can do a hell of a lot worse as a backup quarterback in this league. Josh Johnson, he was stroking it out there, man. He looked really, really comfortable. He looked poised, made some really good throws. His touchdown pass early in the game, my God, that was a beautiful, fade to the back corner of the end zone. I mean, are you kidding me? Josh Johnson looked really good. Minnesota Vikings at the Kansas City Chiefs. This was a really fun game. Both teams played their starters. Like, both teams treated this game like a dress rehearsal, like you're supposed to, the third preseason game. 28-25 victory for the Chiefs. And for anybody out there that, it's not worth it. Well, the Chiefs played their starters in every single preseason game, just for the record. They just happen to be the best team in football, if you ask me. Still think they're better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Andy Reid saw fit that, I think my guys need work. I think my guys are only going to get better if they play. But that's just Andy Reid, that's it. It's just Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Anyway, the Vikings played their guys for the first time I think they played Kirk a little bit last game as well. But tough break on Irv Smith Jr. He got injured in this game. And he looks really good. I don't think it's a season-ending injury. But, man, he looked good. They had no answers for Irv Smith in this game. You're like, damn. If that continues during the regular season, and I don't know the extended, the amount of time he's going to be out there. Hopefully it's not an extended period of time. But, man, he looks good. He looks like he finally was starting to put shit together. Like, okay, year 3, I'm ready. Chiefs look to be in regular season form. My God, they are a well-oiled machine or what? Mahomes was out there for, I think, the first maybe 3 possessions of the ball game, and they just went right down the field, man. Touchdown, and then I think they might have had to settle for a field goal on one of them. But, man, does he look good. That whole team. And, they got Jerick McKinnon. Shh. Don't tell nobody about the secret weapon known as Jerick McKinnon. That is the perfect spot for him. I mean, he looks to be the perfect guy for that offense. They got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but Jerick McKinnon is going to be a great backup there in Kansas City. And they just keep finding receivers, man. You think they don't have enough, but it's Mahomes, and he's going to find guys, and they're going to be just fine out there. Man, they look to be a midseason for him. 28-25 victory for the Chiefs. Green Bay Packers at the Buffalo Bills. Bills played their guys. The Packers elected not to. Your end result is a 19-0 blanking of the Packers by the Buffalo Bills. Jordan Love, they need to see him. So, again, it made a ton of sense to play him, and that they did. I thought he had a great start to the game. He was stroking it out there, and then he made one bad decision. And you go, come on, dude. And that's part of the problem with Jordan Love when he was coming out of Nevada was for all the talent this guy has, he's got the legs to run and get anywhere on the field that he wants. He's got the arm talent to throw the football anywhere on the field. The decision-making comes into question, though, because he's one of those guys that thinks he can make a play even when there's not a play there to be made. And he's getting pressured. He's rolling out to his right. And I think it might even be first down. And you're at the Bills' 32-yard line. So you're in field goal range. You're moving the football. This drive is going well. And he's getting pressured. And instead of him chucking it out of bounds, he decides to throw up a prayer ball in the end zone amongst 3 Bills and 1 Packers receiver. And it gets picked up. And I'm like, Jordan, you're not in the Mountain West anymore, bro. You can't do that. You're not playing against Wyoming anymore. You can't do that. So it's not Hawaii. Sorry, you can't do that. So that's why you have to play. So he can understand that the shit you do in practice, that doesn't work in a real game. Unless you're Patrick Mahomes, then you can do whatever the hell you want. So he made that one decision. But other than that, I thought he was actually really good. I thought he did some really good things. They moved the football. They just failed to score points. And this receiver, Malik Taylor, thought he did some good things. Had 6 targets, had 5 catches. I don't know if there's any space for him on the team at receiver, but he looks like a guy that's ready to contribute. So As far as the Bills are concerned, man, Josh Allen and that Bills offense looked sharp, razor sharp. They went down the field on the opening possession of the game, took it and raced right down the field. They had a 3rd and 20 on that opening possession. And Josh Allen says, don't worry about it. 3rd and 20, he gets sacked on the play before, brings up a 3rd and 20 from like their own 30, from the Packers like 37-yard line or something. And he just throws a 36-yard strike to his receiver for a touchdown. Gabe Davis, who was phenomenal in this game. He looks like he's ready to explode in year 2 as well. And I'm like, shit, Josh. Josh is running around. Josh is making plays. Josh is throwing BBs. Cole Beasley's catching the football. E-Man Sand is getting comfortable. The Bills are going to be really good this year. Oh, man. Baltimore at Washington. This was all about Tyler Huntley, man. It was the Tyler Huntley show. Washington sat 28 players in this game. A whopping 28 players. Don't feed me no garbage about wanting to see young guys get an opportunity. You can play your starters for 2 possessions and still see these young guys play the rest of the game. Don't talk to me about that bullshit. Baltimore wanted this game bad. They've won 20 straight preseason games. And that's not why they played their starters. They didn't play their starters in the first 2 preseason games and still won. So they played their starters because it's the 3rd preseason game. It's a tune-up. I need to see my guys. I haven't seen them all preseason. And that wasn't when they were killing Washington either. They didn't start killing them until they actually put their backups in. And Tyler Huntley threw 5 touchdown passes. I don't care that it's a preseason game. I don't care that he did it against mostly 2s, 3s, and 4s. He threw 5 touchdown passes. You know how hard that is to do? Oh my God. He was outstanding. J.K. Dobbins' injury was all anybody wanted to talk about. That's why you don't play your players. Ah, shut up. It's football. Shit happens. Get over it. You can't. Scared money don't make money. That's how I was raised. That's what a wise man once told me. That's what I live by. The Ravens will be fine. Trust me. J.K. Dobbins gets hurt. Next man up. They'll be just fine. Trust me. Bears at Titans. Neither team decided to play their starting quarterback. Justin Fields needed to work. If you're the Bears, the more you see of Justin Fields, the better. That's how I look at this thing. So Andy Dalton, you know what he is at this point. He's played all preseason. You need to see the young fella. So I didn't have a problem with the Bears deciding that Andy Dalton could sit because Andy Dalton's not the future. Justin Fields is. The Titans, they had the outbreak of COVID. So Ryan Tannehill was one of those guys. So he didn't play in this game either. I think he would have played. Either way, Justin Fields, man, I feel bad for him. I honestly do, because I told you I'm not a big Matt Nagy fan. And the same shit I was complaining about last year is the same shit he's already doing this year. So, Baldy, I love Baldy. And he's a great follow on Twitter. And he does these Baldy breakdowns where he shows you a couple clips from the game and reasons why he either loves this team or doesn't love this team, or loves this particular player or doesn't love this player, or loves this coach for his schemes and his play calling or doesn't. And he highlighted some things with the Bears. And this is the same shit I've been crying about for the last 2 years with Matt Nagy. He came busting out of the gates in his rookie campaign as a head coach in this league, could do no wrong. And ever since then, I feel like he's really been smelling himself and just doing shit kind of sideways. And one of my biggest complaints is that everything he does, for the most part, doesn't make any sense. Great example. It's 3rd and 4. It's 3rd and 4. Why do you have your guys running 12 and 13 yard routes? It's 4. He needs 4 yards. Not 12, not 9, 4. So he's got Justin Fields on the first 3rd down of the game, deep in your own territory. He's got this guy taking a 5-step drop. He needs 4 yards. It should be a 3-step drop, a quick out, a 5-yard speed cut. Let him get it out of his hands, pick up the first down, move the sticks. What are we doing here? Instead, Fields drops back 5 steps. His tackle gets beat like a drum. He gets sacked. Why? This is the same shit I was talking about when Mitchell Trubisky was the quarterback. When Nicholas Foles, you need 3 yards. Why are your guys running 12-yard comebacks? Why? And Baldy was saying the same thing. Like, you need 4 yards. Why you have your guys running so far down the field? Get 4 yards and move the sticks. You get to call 3 more plays. I don't understand. Then he showed another clip. They have a wide receiver in tight, sift blocking across the formation to block a defensive tackle that has been wreaking havoc the entire game. Where's the psychological sense? So, of course, this 192-pound receiver goes diving at this 330-pound legs, behemoth's legs, misses him, doesn't even touch him, and he's allowed to go bag Justin Fields for a sack. Oh, was it the running back? I think it was the running back, actually. I think it was a running play. Whatever the case, it was stupid. The scheme is dumb. Why? If you think that's smart, you need to wash your face and get your mind right. Anyway, Justin Fields is being set up for failure if things continue the way that they are in Chicago, which is why you probably do need to get rid of Matt Nagy, despite him having led this team to the postseason the last 2 out of 3 years. It's frustrating to watch. On the positive side, though, Travis Gibson is a guy that I loved last year as a defensive end. I think he went to, where did he go to? I can't remember what college he came from. Not South Florida. I don't think it was South Florida. It's one of them type of schools, though. I don't think it was Tulane either. But Travis Gibson was a guy that I really liked last year. In the draft, he forced a fumble in this game. I think he's going to be really good. They said he had a strong camp. I just really liked him. He's coming along nicely. How about this Jesper Horsted guy at the tight end position? They might have themselves something there, man. Guy had 3 touchdown grabs in this game, including a ridiculous one-hand stab where he stops the impact of the ball, catches it, and then runs down the sidelines. He had 3 touchdown grabs in this game at the tight end position for the Bears. And then Nicholas Foles is a name that's starting to surface as a guy that could potentially be trade bait. Makes a ton of sense. He's currently at 3rd on the depth chart for the Bears. They have no use for him right now. There are a lot of teams that don't have quality backup quarterbacks. Like I talked about the Atlanta Falcons. It doesn't make any sense for Atlanta to trade for Nicholas Foles. They're not going anywhere. They're not winning anything of substance. But if you're a good team out there and you don't have for instance, the Chiefs have Chad Henne. Like that's the perfect backup for a team like that. Because you don't want blame it on the Henne in there for 6 weeks. But if he's got to step in like he had to step in the AFC divisional round, he's going to be able to at least run the show and do it enough to get you by. That's what Nicholas Foles is. He's the perfect veteran quarterback in this league. If you got a good team and you think you got a chance to win something, if you're Dallas, what are you waiting on? You pick up the phone and you give the Bears a late round draft pick and you get Nicholas Foles on your team. At least if something happens to Dak, your season is not completely over with. I don't understand. Anyway, I digress. Buccaneers at the Houston Texans, another team where they didn't have to play their starters, but they did. You know why? Because the best way to get good at football is to play football. And you know what? It's these new coaches. It's these new young boys out here. They're the ones that believe that I shouldn't play the old heads. They're playing their guys. Like I don't have time for this shit. Just like in the old days. They're old man, get off my lawn, like me. So you got Uncle Bruce out there. He's like, nah, we got to play our guys. That's how you get better at football. And man, these guys look sharp, man. Golly. So the first drive for the Bucs was a 3-and-out. After that, Tom Brady got on the field and he said, to hell with that. The next drive started at their own 9-yard line, and they go no huddle, and they race down the field, and they score in about 7 plays, 91 yards. No huddle offense. Hits a couple of strikes down the middle of the football field to Chris Godwin, including the touchdown grab. They were outstanding. They come on the field again for one more drive. Brady was like, that was so nice. I want to do it twice. Comes back on the field, takes them down the field for another touchdown drive. This one is capped off by running back Jones. And he jaunts into the end zone, and that was the day for Brady. They were like, okay, that's enough. Seen enough, done enough. Man, must be nice. Must be nice. The Texans, this is interesting. They didn't have their kicker for this game. They sat Kamiri Fairbairn. So Justin Reed, their star safety, had to kick off. He actually did a pretty damn good job. Kicked it off pretty good on the opening kickoff. That was the highlight of the game for the Texans. Nah, I'm kidding. They played Tyrod Taylor. Like, they're so competent offensively. It's not funny. They're competent. They got everything you need to be in game. They're just not going to win a lot of games because Tyrod Taylor's their quarterback. They're not going to score a lot of points. It's a shame. Because they got everything that they need. They got 18 running backs. They got 9,000 receivers. They got 17 tight ends. The offensive line, it's okay. It's not great. Their starting left tackle is Jaron Christian. If you're a Washington fan, you're saying, hey, he's not bad. He's all right, but he's not real. They got everything they need. And then there's Tyrod Taylor. He's fine. He's not going to throw up all over himself. You're just not scoring 33 points. You might not even score 23 points. That's the problem with the Texans. They're going to move it down the field, and they're going to get down to the 18-yard line. They're going to have to settle for a field goal because Tyrod Taylor's your quarterback. It's a shame. Anyway, they're not as bad as everybody thinks. They're just not going to win a lot of games because they're not going to score a lot of points. Rams and the Broncos. So the Rams, they officially passed on the entire preseason. They were the hardest team to watch in the preseason this year. They were playing a bunch of nobodies, guys you never heard of. It was hard to stomach. So I'm just going to pass on them. Denver played their starters, first team D, and hell, even Von Miller was on the field. This is the first time I've seen Von in like 2 years. It's good to see 58 out there. And I thought they went out there and they did what they were supposed to do. Tedo had another touchdown pass. Up until this game, I think he had been in for 6 possessions, and it was 6 touchdowns for Teddy Bridgewater. Every possession he had been on, they scored a touchdown on. He was in this game for about 3 possessions. They scored a touchdown on his final possession of the game. And then they put in Drew Lock, and Drew Lock quickly reminded me of why they put Teddy Bridgewater in as their starter. For the second straight game, he gets hit and fumbles the football. And you're like, Drew, come on. Stop getting hit and fumbling. He's just holding on to the ball way too long. And he's not aware of his surroundings. Dude, you've been holding on to it for 5 seconds. You don't think somebody's coming from the backside? Okay. I like the Denver Broncos. I really do. Unlike the Houston Texans, they've got weapons. They can score, but they've got a similar quarterback pulling the strings. But unlike the Texans, their defense is capable of holding the opposition to 17, 18, 19. So if you've just scored 20, you'll have a chance to win. I don't think the Texans defensively are going to be capable of doing that. So that's the difference between the two teams. They're not going to score a whole hell of a lot of points. But they've got the weapons to, they can throw it to KJ Hamler and he can do the rest. They can throw it to Noah Fant and he can do the rest. They got guys that are studs. They can throw it to Jerry Jeudy and he can do the rest. So they got weapons. But it's still Teddy Bridgewater pulling the strings, so we'll see what happens. I just like what Denver's doing this year. They're one of those teams I could easily see making the playoffs that didn't make it a season ago. Chargers at the Seahawks. The Chargers got what they deserved in this game. They passed, much like the Rams, who can afford to do it because they're a good team. The Chargers decided they wanted to pass on the entire preseason. They're that good. Don't let the 4 wins or whatever they got last year fool you. They're that good. They could pass on the whole preseason, not play any of their starters for the most part. So they decided to do that again. And they got blanked 27-0. Nobody cares about the outcome of the game. Again, I'm on the Chargers hard because you got a first-year head coach and he thinks he's doing the right thing. You got a second-year quarterback and they decided we're not playing anybody. Okay. All right. Let's see how it goes in week 1. That's all I'm going to say. If it goes well, you won't hear about it. And I'll bring it up because I've been adamant about this. I'll bring it up if I'm wrong and say, well, that didn't matter. If I'm right, you're going to hear my mouth because what they've done this preseason, and I don't care that they've been scrimmaging the other team every week. It's total bullshit. The Seahawks didn't play their starters. They passed on the preseason as well, but they got Russell Wilson. So technically they can do that. They go to the playoffs every year. The Chargers don't. So that's the biggest difference. I have nothing to say about that game. They both passed on the preseason. Who gives a shit? Jacksonville at Dallas, 34-14. The Jaguars get the victory. This game was all about Trevor Lawrence. He's been, I don't want to say shaky the first 2 preseason games because, barely played in the first preseason game. Got a couple of possessions, I think. The Saints game, it was deflating if you're a Jags fan because it re-emphasizes, damn, we got a long way to go. And it was one of those games that deflates your confidence. Like, you want to go into the regular season on a high. You know, that's part of the reason you want to play your guys, too, is you want to go in feeling confident. Like, this is the last thing we did, and it was a success. I want my guys to think about that as we go into the regular season. And Trevor Lawrence needed this game against Dallas. He shredded their third-team defense because Cowboys played absolutely nobody. I mean, I couldn't find a semblance of a starter. Hell, I was searching for guys that might even make the roster. I don't know if I came upon many of those guys either. Like, they did the same thing Washington did, where they essentially said, hey, we sitting about 25 dudes in this game. So Lawrence said, hey, don't mind if I do. I need the confidence. I don't give a shit if it's against dudes that play on your JV squad. I need the confidence. So he went out there and he shredded those boys. Dime over here, dime over there, touchdown pass here, another touchdown pass there, threw 2 touchdown passes, got out of the game, feeling really good. That's the way you want to end the preseason for your number 1 overall pick heading into his first regular season game. You want to ride out on a high. They did that, courtesy of the Cowboys. They should thank the Cowboys. So this was all about Lawrence, and he looked the part of a number 1 overall draft pick. And again, I don't give a shit who it's against. He needed that confidence, and he got it. The Cowboys passed on this game. I got nothing for them. I got nothing to say. They passed on the game. Dolphins, Bengals, 29-26 win for the Dolphins in this football game. But this game was all about the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow playing. Now, they said they were just going to give him a little taste. Just a little taste. Not a lot. And that's exactly what they did. You just gave him a little taste. Matt literally was out there for 3 plays. Now, I like to think that if that possession were 9 plays, he would have been out there for 9 plays. But the possession was 3 plays. The Bengals, man. So, my guy, I think it was Vincent Cole brought this up earlier. So, Burrow 3 plays. They're so bad that he gets out there, and on second down, he throws a bubble screen to Jamar Chase, just to get Chase back in the swing of things. I just talked about wanting your young team and your young players to end on a positive note. He had 3 drops against Washington. I really say 2, but they gave him credit for 3 drops, and he hasn't had a strong preseason, and the drops are starting to mount, and people are starting to question him. So you just want to get him an easy completion to get him going, to see something positive happen for him. So, you don't want Joe taking a hit. So you get it out of Joe's hands quickly. You give it to Joe Mixon on first down. And on second down and 8, you want to throw a bubble to Jamar Chase and maybe get a first down. But even if it's a gain of 6, it's third and manageable. And he drops the goddamn bubble screen. And he drops it. And everybody thinks it's a fumble because was it backwards? Was it forward? It was a forward pass. But they didn't know. So everybody's fighting over getting the ball. And one of their linemen come out of nowhere and lambast one of the Dolphins players. So now you got to take this 15-yard personal foul penalty for a late unnecessary hit. So now it's 3rd and 20. Now this possession is definitely over, right? So Joe Burrow, the shit's over. 3 plays, he's in and he's out. Jamar Chase is the bigger story here, though. It was good to see Joe Burrow on the field, even though it was very brief. It was good to see him get out there and, get his feet wet in another game. He won't be right until guys are around his legs and he's okay. He gets hit a couple of times. Somebody hits him around his knees and he's able to get up. That's when he'll be okay. But he won't be okay until he actually gets hit or there's traffic around his legs. He's going to be antsy for a while until he realizes, I'm okay. I can just play ball. There are going to be guys around my feet, and I'll be fine. But it's going to take a while. Jamar Chase is the bigger story here because now it's in his head. Now it's mental. You can catch as many, passes on the jugs machine as you want. He's got to make plays in the game, and he will. He's going to be fine. But this is not what you want to see from your number 1 overall pick. This guy was a top 5 pick, and he can't catch claps in a whorehouse right now, as a wise man used to say to me. They need him to be good because T. Higgins isn't a number 1. Tyler Boyd isn't a number 1. They lack a true number 1. He's supposed to fill that void for them. If I'm a Bengals fan, I'm not panicking right now, but I'm like saying to myself, dude, what the F? right now. I'm saying that to Jamar Chase. Like, dude, what the F? What's going on, man? Talk to me. What's wrong? Some kind of mental block? What are we doing right now? What do we need? Talk to me. We can't have this shit. It's not like he was going to get lit up there. And actually he was. They didn't block for him on that wide receiver screen. You think you're doing him a huge favor, and you're actually doing him a disservice because the guys in front of him did not block it. As he was catching that football, he was about to get hit. And that every drop that I've seen from him has been the same thing. As he's about to catch the football, he's going to get hit. Maybe you need to throw it 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage to him just so he can catch it and know that he's not going to get hit. You know what I'd do? First play of the upcoming season, first regular season game, I'd give it to him on a jet sweep and just shovel it to him. I need him to feel confident. As a coach, I know he's one of my best players. I want him to be confident. I'm not going to even throw it to him. I'm going to shovel the shit to him. Have him come across in motion and just have Joe Burrow catch it and tap it to him. And he's going to run for 6-7 yards and he'll be fine. That's what I would do. Let's see how smart Zach Taylor is. Because he'll probably try to throw him a slant or some shit like that. And he'll drop that too. And then he'll be down on himself and the fans will start booing him. Don't do that. Get it to him in the most simple form where he can't F it up and he can build himself some confidence. I hope that they understand that. Anyway, I digress. The Dolphins passed on this game, so I don't have anything to say about them, although I thought the press conference after the game was more interesting than anything they did on the field in this game. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Anyway, I digress. Raiders at the 49ers. This was a 34-10 49ers victory. The Raiders passed on the entire preseason. No Derek Carr, no Marcus Mariota the entire preseason. Literally, they played Nathan Peterman for 3 straight games. Wow. The 49ers, on the other hand, they showed me some things in this game. So, first things first, Raheem Mostert. Awesome in this game, okay? He turned the clock back to 2019, and if they get him back playing the way that he did in 2019, look out, because we know Shanahan can run the football. Period. End of discussion. They're going to run it. And they got the offensive line to do it with Trent Williams and company. So Raheem Mostert looked fantastic on the opening possession of the game. But what I was more impressed by, and it didn't dawn on me until this game when I actually saw it, like, why didn't I think of that? Kyle Shanahan is the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. He's got Jimmy G as his starter, and rightfully so. Trey Lance is not ready. And if you've watched this preseason, he's shown you all of the flashes of greatness, and he's shown you all of the inability to be consistent that you expect from a guy that only started 16 games in college. He's going to be good, but he's got a ways to go. But that shouldn't stop you from inserting on a weekly basis the Trey Lance package. And we saw that. Like, Kyle showed us a glimpse of what they're going to do. Every so often, similar to what the Saints do with Taysom Hill, you're going to stick Trey Lance in there. And it dawned on me when I watched it, I said, oh shit, he's busting out the old RG3 package from 2012. Oh my God. They're going to be unstoppable in San Francisco. So every now and again, probably 8 to 10 plays a game, you're going to get Trey Lance in there, and he's going to run read option. And he's going to pull that son of a bitch out, and they're going to run that 12-yard drift route, as we used to call it in Washington. It's a 12-yard dig right over the middle of the football field. And Deebo Samuel's going to catch that son of a bitch, and he's going to break a tackle, and he's going to take off for 75. Or he's going to break a tackle, and he's going to go for 33. And that shit's going to be open because you got to respect Trey Lance's ability to pull it and run it. And if you don't come up, he can give it to Raheem Mostert and he can pick up 12, or he can pull it out. If you crash down, he can get 12 on the outside. And if you suck up, because you got to respect the run, right? He's going to throw it. It's the RPO. Oh my God. They ran that shit to perfection in this game. And I said, my God, they're bringing out the RG3 package. Raheem Mostert's going to have 2,000 yards rushing this year. Remember Alfred Morris with what did he have? Like 1,400 yards rushing his rookie season with that shit? Now, obviously, Trey Lance isn't going to be in as much as Robert Griffin III was in that 1 year, that rookie season in 2012. But my God, he's bringing out, he's blowing the dust. He's blowing the dust off the Robert Griffin III package that he didn't want to run after his rookie season because he was too good to run it. The 49ers are going to be tough to deal with this year. My goodness. Anyway, Jimmy G was solid in this game. They're going to be fine in San Francisco. They're going to be tough to deal with. I'm glad we don't have to play them. New England at the Giants. This was a fun game to watch. Much like Kansas City and Minnesota, one of the few games on the over the weekend. Texans, Bucks, Chiefs, Vikings, and the Giants and the Patriots were the only three games where both teams decided, hey, we're going to play our guys. So in New England gets the win 22-20. Quarterback battle between Newton and Jones. It's really interesting. I still think, and I've said this all preseason long, I'm not backing down now. Cam Newton's your starter week 1. He wasn't overly impressive in this game. He did throw a pick. That was a hell of a play by Blake Martinez. I mean, who are you kidding me? I mean, that guy was 30 yards down the field in coverage, sticks his hand in the cookie jar at the last minute and rips the ball out from Jacoby Myers. That's a hell of a play, man. You got a middle linebacker 35 yards down the field. Are you kidding me? Cam didn't expect him to make that play. And that was a great throw by Cam. That's just a better play by Blake Martinez. So you just got to give credit where credit's due. I think Cam Newton's your starter week 1. Mac Jones looked good. He did it against the second, third string of the Giants. Like, don't need to get worked up over that. Like, he's gonna be in there at some point this year. And if they want to start that process week 1, by all means, knock yourself out. I won't be opposed to it. But I think Cam Newton's the starter week 1. I really do. So my thought process with when you have situations like this is you go with the veteran first. Because if the young guy stinks, you can't go back to the veteran. Right? So let the veteran play. And once you've exhausted that option and he's not getting it done, then you go to the young fella because that's all anybody wants to see at that point anyway. And even if he stinks at that point, well, I have no alternative. The veteran stunk first, so he's got no reason to look over his shoulder. Whereas if you start him first, and the Patriots, trust me, they're not starting Mac Jones because they want him to get experience. They start Mac Jones week 1 is because they think he can lead them to a divisional crown. So if he struggles, you don't want the young fella looking over his shoulder. He starts to struggle a bit because preseason and regular season are two different animals. He starts to struggle. You don't want the fan base chanting for Cam Newton, and you don't want him looking over his shoulder saying, is the next pick going to be the one that gets me the hook? No, you let Cam go out there. You let him stink it up first, if he's going to stink it up at all. And then you put the young fella in so that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. He can just play ball. Whether he makes a mistake or not, he's not going anywhere. So I think Cam gets the nod. He should get the nod, and I think he will get the nod. But it's an interesting situation right now in New England. That's for sure. Belichick's playing it close to the vest, as he should. He's going to start Newton, though, I believe. As far as the Giants are concerned, we hadn't seen Daniel Jones all preseason. I still am befuddled as to why we haven't seen him to this point. But at least Joe Judge was smart enough to put him in this game. And he did. And let me backtrack a second. The Patriots defense, I think, is going to be really good this year. I think they've got the makings of a really good defense. I think Bill Belichick has all the pieces he needs. If he gets a healthy Stephon Gilmore this year, I think they've got a chance to be a top 5 to 7 defense in the league. They are flying around. If they can get pass rush from Josh Uche, I love saying that, Josh Uche, among other guys. They've got Matthew Judon, and they're blitzing him from all kinds of different angles. I just think Chase Winovich is another guy that I think can get there. They got a bunch of stuff. Jawan Bentley's playing well inside at linebacker. They just got a bunch of quality stuff that Belichick knows how to maneuver. If they get quality play out of their secondary, and that's the only thing I worry about, I think they got a chance to be really good on defense. Okay, now to the Giants. The Giants' offensive line is a sieve right now. They're terrible. And we heard this in the preseason, and we heard it during practice and in camp. And there were a couple of riders, one in particular, Jordan Renan in New York, where, the fan base is like, hey, don't worry about what Jordan says. He's a little bit over the top. He's known to be a little excessive and exaggerates, situations. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not as bad. He's like, no. I remember he had an article pretty much saying they got to do something on the offensive line or their season is over. They don't have what they need up front. I'm like, is it really that bad? Then you watch this game, it's really that bad. Like, Daniel Jones is going to be under siege when they play teams that can get after the quarterback because Andrew Thomas stinks, it looks like right now. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. And I remember once upon a time, Washington fans wanted us to take this guy instead of Chase Young. You got to take the tackle. How's that working out for you? He stinks. And I told you, I didn't like him at Georgia. I didn't love him. He was fine. I didn't love him. I said, he's on the ground too often. He doesn't strike me as an elite tackle. Like a guy you can start and be serviceable with, but he doesn't strike me as an elite tackle. Not a guy you spend a top 10 pick on. He went top 5. So, he's struggling right now. Struggling. He gave up 2 sacks. He had a holding penalty in this game. They got issues up front. That said, I don't think Daniel Jones is as bad as people think. I keep telling people Daniel Jones is not that bad. He's not bad. He just has to put it all together. I don't know if he will put it all together. But my God, does he make some bad decisions in the red zone. My goodness, he's got to stop doing that shit. That'll get you benched faster than anything else. They're in the red zone. They're at like the 2 or 3 yard line. He's rolling out. There's pressure. He throws back across his body to who? Don't ask me. I can't tell you. It gets picked off. And I'm like, what? What are you doing, dude? You haven't learned from the first 2 years of your career to not do that stupid shit? Apparently not. Those are the guys I can't stomach. The guys that you look them in their face and you say, hey, don't do that. And they say, okay, I got you. And then they go back out on the field and they do the same thing you just told them not to do. And then you say, come here. What did we just talk about? And they give you that stone-faced look. They don't say anything. And you say, didn't we just talk about not doing that? And they go, yeah, I got you, coach. Well, apparently you don't got me. Because that's the same shit I just told you not to do. You did it anyway. He's got to stop throwing picks in the red zone. You can't win in this league like that when you turn it over in the red zone. Throw that shit away. 3 is better than none. Anyway, he comes back. He throws a BB to tight end, the Caden tight end from Stanford. Beautiful throw in the end zone for a touchdown. There's something to him. He makes a lot of mistakes, but there's something to Daniel Jones. Anyway, I didn't think they looked bad. Sterling Shepard looked good. I thought Devontae Booker looked solid. Brightwell, the running back out of Arizona they drafted to catch the football out of the backfield, looked solid. I thought they weren't that damn bad, honestly. Evan Ingram, I think he got hurt in this game, left the game with an injury, but I think he'll be all right. He caught it well and ran. They got some stuff, man. I told you, they got guns and shit in New York. We'll just see if Daniel Jones is able to pull the trigger when he's supposed to. And then the final game of the preseason. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Browns at Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons didn't play Matt Ryan. Okay, I get that. They played most of their starters, though. But they didn't play Matt Ryan. New coach. Bad football team. I'd like to see Matt Ryan on the field for a couple of possessions. Thank you very much. Falcons aren't a good football team. I don't think they're going to be very good defensively again. I'd like to see Matt Ryan on the field for a couple of possessions. He'll be fine. Matt Ryan, when's the last time Matt Ryan's missed a game? He'll be fine. Put him out there. Anyway, I don't know. Let's talk about the Browns first. Because they did play their starters. And they hadn't played them all preseason. But again, let's see. Let me count this real quick. 1, 2, 3. Out of the 14 teams that elected 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of the 13 teams, or 14 teams, excuse me, that elected to play their starters, only 4 were playoff teams from a season ago. 3 of the 4 were in the NFC champion, or in the championship game last year. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Excuse me, 5. Baltimore played their starters as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 14 teams were in the postseason last year, and 3 of the 4 were in their respective championship game last year. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. The Browns were in the playoffs last year. Baker Mayfield was sharp in this game. Back in action for the first time this preseason. He was razor sharp, man. They made a mistake. So if you haven't had a chance to check out my guy, the Caveman's show. I was on his show recently, the Caveman. Let me see if I can pull up the link to that video again. And put it in the comment section. Because
what is going on, y'all?
It was a really good show. And we talked about, if you like this podcast, then you'll like the show that I was on with him. You'll enjoy it. So I'm going to put this in the comment section real quick so that you guys have this. And you can go check this video out. Go show him some love. But more importantly, go get you some good content. So I just threw the link in there for you guys to check it out. One of the topics that we discussed was Baker Mayfield and the contract. You know, the Caveman is a Bills fan, so one of the questions was, do I think Lamar Jackson should get more money than Josh Allen? And he will, because the next guy is the highest paid guy. You guys know the rules. If I were the Browns, I would have paid Baker Mayfield. And maybe they had some apprehension because it was 1 year good Baker, 1 year of and then another year of really good Baker. So now they need to make sure. Well, I think they feel like Baker's the franchise guy. They should have paid him first before Buffalo did, because now you're probably going to have to pay Baker more than Buffalo, and maybe even more than Baltimore, depending on, you know, what order it goes in. And he's not worth more than Josh Allen nor Lamar Jackson, but they may ultimately have to pay him like that. But man, did he look good in this game. And there still was no Odell Beckham. There was no Juice Landry, and he was out there slinging that thing. You know who I really like? And I've felt this way for the last year or two. D'Ernest Johnson. How can you watch him play and not like him? They got all these running backs, Chubb and Hunt, and then it's D'Ernest Johnson out here making plays. I really like me some D'Ernest Johnson. He can catch it, he can run it, he's tough, he breaks tackles, he's got some speed. I like this dude, man. How about Kadero Hodge? I've been shitting on Browns receivers for years. Like, man, they don't have nothing outside of Juice Landry. And then they got Odell Beckham Jr. Shame on you if you step to the old dirty Beckham. They got ODB. But he's always hurt, seems like. And that might be an over-exaggeration. But whatever. I'm like, they don't really have nothing. You take Juice out of that lineup. I mean, you take ODB out of that lineup. They don't really have nothing. Well, Kadero Hodge is like, hey, stop shitting on me, man. And Donovan Peoples-Jones is like, hey, I can play some ball too, you know. They're not that bad. They got a really solid group of complimentary wide receivers. And this Kadero Hodge guy, it's time for me to stop shitting on him. He can actually play some ball. I like him a lot. He's really opened my eyes this preseason, and even somewhat last year. But he's really opened my eyes this preseason. Anyway, the Falcons played their guys with the exception of Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley. Those two didn't go. Kyle Pitts was out there for the first time. And he just made one catch. But boy, was that one of those quick reminders of why he was the third pick in the draft. Was it fourth? I think he was fourth in the draft. My God, is he special. Just a simple bootleg. He gets out into the flats, catches it, turns up the field, and then turns on the Jets. Breaks a tackle, and next thing you know, it's like a 45-yard gain. You're like, whew. Okay, don't need to see any more of that. You can get him out of there. Okay. Save him for the real thing. I just wanted to see what it looked like. That car rides smooth. Put it back in the garage. How about the Josh Rosen, Felipe Franks backup battle? Woo! Birdman hand rub for that. Ugh, that's nasty. But I will say that Josh Rosen didn't look bad in this game. I actually stuck around, as badly as I wanted to turn it off, I stuck around to see what Josh Rosen looked like. He didn't look bad. Couple of decisions where you go, I wouldn't do that if I were you, but he made some really good throws, man. I on that same caveman video, we talked about Josh Rosen. So my thing is, he must stink. If 5 teams decided in a 2-year span, 3-year span that this guy stinks and he doesn't deserve to be on our roster, despite being behind a quarterback that he could learn from, I said he's got to stink. If Kyle Shanahan says, nah, I'm good, I'm like, okay, yeah, you must really stink. If Bruce Arians, if Uncle Bruce says, nah, you're not good enough to sit behind Tom Brady, we'll go get Kyle Trask, don't worry about it. Yeah, you must be hot garbage. But he didn't look like hot garbage in this game. Now, again, it's the end of the preseason. It's the 4th string guys that aren't going to make the squad. I don't care. I just wanted him to see. I wanted to see him look competent, and he did. That's a bad backup quarterback situation to have, though, if you're the Falcons. God forbid anything happen to Matt Ryan, which it never does. He doesn't miss games, but let's hope he does it this year because, whew, Felipe Franks, ugh. Josh Rosen, oy vey. It could get really ugly in the A. That is for certain. So that is going to do it for this installment of Slate Skating. Let's get to our last break of this show, and then we will wrap this thing up with garbage time. You already know, and if you don't, your ass better call somebody. Backed by popular demand are the LTN Exclusives platter of pools and leagues for the upcoming 2021 NFL season. First up, we start with the LTN NFL Weekly Pick'em Pool. No year-long commitment here. Rather, this is a week-to-week pool that allows players to pick winners of each week's games, including a Monday night winner with combined points, which serves as a tiebreaker. So essentially, you pick a winner for each and every single game, and then Monday night, you pick a winner and points combined between the two teams. That serves as a tiebreaker. The person with the least amount of losses wins the entire pot. $7 per sheet. Winner takes all, minus a $2 per sheet maintenance fee. No limit as to how many sheets you can play per week. So if you want to play 3 hands because you think that gives you a better chance to win, by all means, knock yourself out. Must have PayPal or Cash App to participate, as that's how you will turn in your money and that's how you will receive your earnings should you win. Link to sign up in the description of this video. Just head over to LouisTNetwork.net and hit the LTN Exclusives tab if you don't want to hit the link down in the description. Next up, we have the 9th annual Louis T Network Soul Survivor Pool. I am 0 for 8 in this department. I am dying to get a win here. Survivor pool rules apply. So simply, you pick a team to get you through to the next week. If that team wins, you advance to the next week. You can no longer pick that team for the remainder of the pool, and so forth, so forth. The team you pick loses, you're then eliminated. Last player or participating member standing wins the entire pool. $20 entry fee here. Winner takes all. Must have PayPal or Cash App to participate. Once again, same thing. You need those two, one of the two, to pay and then to get the money should you win. The link is down in the description of this video to register for the Survivor Pool. Just need to either hit that link and it'll send you directly to where you need to go, or you can go over to LouisTNetwork.net, hit the LTN Exclusives tab, and go from there. Finally, we go to the Don Dada, the granddaddy of them all, Winners and Losers League. Okay, this is a year-long league requiring weekly selections to be made for 18 straight weeks. So if you cannot make a season-long commitment to put in picks each and every single week, this is not the league for you. We talk about the NFL being a war of attrition and not being a sprint, but rather a marathon. That's exactly what this league is. A running accumulation of wins and losses will be kept, and the winner will be the person with the best win-loss record at the end of the season. Okay, winner will take all will get the championship belt and the title of winners and losers champ. You're listening right now to the current two-time winners and losers champ, and I don't see that changing in the upcoming season. $25 entry fee, must have PayPal or Cash App to participate for the same reasons I mentioned before. Link in the description to join this league. Go ahead and make sure you do that expeditiously. Get over there and sign up as quickly as possible so we can get all the particulars hammered out, and you'll know how many people are in it and how much money is going to be awarded to the winner, which is going to be me. And so, again, all of the pools and leagues, you can see the links down in the description and click those specific links to wherever you want to go, or you can just head over to louistnetwork.net and hit the LTN exclusives tab, and that will show you where you need to go, and you'll have all of the buttons directing you. Please read all of the different prompts once you get to those specific pools and leagues so that you don't miss any of the small, finer, granular details. That being said, that's it. LTN exclusives for the 2021 season officially open for business. Please sign up. Let's have fun. But most importantly, let's get dubs. Bart Scott can't wait. Welcome back to the 196th installment of the Louis T Network podcast. If you're out there and you want to participate in one of the LTN exclusives, the links are down in the description of this and every single video that I will do leading up to the start of the regular season. I'm going to do a lot of bragging and a lot of boasting over the next couple of weeks leading up to the start of the season. I've earned the right to do that. I'm a two-time champ, and I'm going to act like it here over the next few days. So just get ready, okay? I'm going to warn you in advance about that. And if you want to shut me up, you know how to do it. Get in and win, which is damn near impossible to do because I run the show. So, got a super chat here from Too Legit Reality Check. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Too Legit Reality Check. Who writes, keep on doing a great job, Lou. I ordered my Ron's Plan shirt. Can't wait to get it. Oh yeah, Washington will be 2-0 after the first two games. I hope you're right. First of all, thank you for the support. Really do appreciate you. I can almost all but guarantee you're going to love your shirt. Everyone that has gotten one has had nothing but great things to say about it, and I love that. And hopefully you'll get the shirt, you'll love it, and you'll send me a picture of you rocking it so I can add that to my collage. As far as us being 2-0 after the first 2 weeks, I hope that's the case because we got a brutal schedule and we need to take advantage of some opportunities. 2 home games to start. Can't waste home games. You know how I feel about home games. If you want to be a good football team, you got to take care of business at home. If you can go 6-2 at home and 4-4 on the road, which used to be the formula, that'll get you to 10 wins. 10 wins generally get you into the postseason. That's no longer the case. We saw a 10-win team last year miss the postseason. But in an NFC that might not be all that great, depending on who you ask, you might be able to get in, with 10 wins, 10-7 this year. But you got to take care of home. We got 9 road games, 8 home games. We got to take care of home. And we got 2 right out of the gate at the crib. We need to find a way to get those, if we want to be serious about repeating as NFC East champions. So once again, thank you for the support. I love the fact that you copped a shirt. Can't wait till you get it. Again, thank you so much for the support. Buying merch is one of the best ways to support the Louis T Network. And so I can't thank you enough for that. And I hope you're right about Washington being 2-0 after the first 2 games of the season. So, one more thing to add about the exclusives. I haven't won a Survivor Pool yet. This is the 9th annual Louis T Network Survivor Pool. I've come close 1 time out of 8 years. This has got to stop this year. 9 is going to be the lucky number. I'm going to find a way to get it done this year. But that's got to come to an end this year. I can't for the life of me figure out why I can't find a way to get my hands on one of these dubs in the Survivor Pool. It just always seems to escape me. But let's finish up this show with a conversation that we've had way too many times, and we're probably going to have a bunch more. And that's Deshaun Watson. Y'all give it up for Mr. Deshaun Watson. Jackson Heights on Mr. Deshaun Watson. So, we're getting close to the start of the regular season. He's vowed to never play for the Houston Texans again. He looks like he's going to make good on his promise. The Texans, they don't want to eat $10 million this year. They don't want to pay him $10 million to not play, but they know what this is. It's a stick-up. They know what it is. Deshaun's got the ski mask and he's got the gun and he's like, you know what this is. Come up off it, run your pockets. And they like, all right, man, you got us. So everybody involved knows what this is. And the Texans have prepared themselves for life after Deshaun. Deshaun's prepared himself for life after the Texans. Now it's just a matter of having it come to fruition. So at the end of the day, we're going to hear a bunch of rumors. This team, that team, this team is interested. We still don't know what the NFL is going to do in terms of suspending him. He's not suspended as of right now. If he got traded today, he could play week 1. I don't think you're going to see him get traded this year. It doesn't make sense for the Houston Texans. And again, I put the link in the video to the caveman video that I did. Go check it out. We talked about Aaron Rodgers on that video. In one of the segments, he talked about thinking that the Green Bay Packers made a mistake not trading Rodgers. And I said, no, the Packers did the absolute right thing. They got a chance to win a Super Bowl. Maybe their best chance was last year. We don't know that to be the case. But maybe last year was the best chance. They had home field advantage. The Bucs were still kind of trying to figure things out. Maybe last year was the best year. But they didn't get it done. At the end of the day, the window is still open. Devontae Adams is still there. Rodgers is still there. Aaron Jones is still there. Their defense is still quality. They still got a chance to win a Super Bowl. All the pieces are still there. This could be the last year that all those pieces are still intact. Go and try to win a chip. But more importantly, you don't trade Aaron Rodgers away for 2 future first-round picks, not knowing what those first-round picks are. And I think I gave the example of the Raiders. You don't trade them to the Raiders. Because you trade them to the Raiders now, they win 13 games and they go all the way to the AFC Championship. Now you got the 30th pick in the draft. Brooklyn beef. Who want that? That's the 30th pick in the draft. Who want that? But if you wait until the offseason and you trade them to a quarterback needy team that finished 4-13 and they've got the 4th pick in the draft, hey, let me get that up off you. Let me have that. I know what I'm getting. It's easier to trade and know what value you're getting when you trade for a pick that's already been established. That's why if the Texans were going to trade him, the best time to do it was going to be before the start of the draft last year. Or this past draft, I should say. Well, they missed that opportunity, and I said, I don't really see them pulling the trigger. I don't see anybody giving them what they want. And then not knowing what the pick is going to be, what the compensation actually is going to be, doesn't help either. There's certain instances where you say, I'll just trade this guy blindly. Like the Raiders did with Khalil Mack. They didn't know what the Bears were going to be. The Bears were coming off of a division crown. Everybody thought the Bears were going to be good, and the Raiders said, well, we really don't have a choice now, do we? He doesn't want to play for us, and we're not going to pay him to stay here and not play. So let's just get what we can get. They got 2 first-round picks. The Bears actually turned out to stink that next year, but they weren't, stinky enough. They were middle of the pack stinky, 15th overall pick stinky. You'd like to know, okay, they really stunk. This is the 7th pick in the draft. Yeah, okay, I'll make the deal. It could turn out to be the 31st pick or the 27th. And you're like, I'll take it, but I think Khalil Mack's worth more than the 27th and the 29th pick in the draft, right? So you like to know what you're getting. Anyway, there were rumors around Watson going to Philadelphia 2 weeks ago. That has simmered down. There were rumors about Watson potentially landing with the Dolphins. So much so that their head coach, Brian Flores, had to essentially shut down rumors at his press conference. And he didn't actually say we're not exploring trade options for Deshaun Watson. He just said, I don't want to talk about someone that's not here. That would be disrespectful to the guys in this locker room. I want to talk about, and then he started listing off random names of guys in the locker room and guys that played in that third and final preseason game. And then he picked up all of his papers and he walked away, upset. That didn't exactly say, no, we're not looking to trade for Deshaun Watson. It just said, hey, I don't want to talk about that. That guy's not here. He's not on our team. And I'm not getting fined for talking about another player on another team. That's called tampering. So leave me alone. I told you, I'm not backing down on my Tua assertion that he's going to be the best second-year quarterback this year. That could be far off base. And Joe Burrow comes back like he never got injured. And Justin Herbert picks right up where he left off on his offensive rookie of the year campaign. And Tua's bringing up the rear like he did last year. I could look like a fool. But I just think Tua's going to be really good. And that team's ready to win. And they got talent around him. More so than the other two teams do around their quarterback. So, I'm going with Tua. I think people are down on Tua for some reason. I still haven't quite figured out why. Because, like, people, again, selective memory. Wasn't he coming off of a hip surgery last year? Like, did you just think he was going to just show up and be the Tua from 2018 or something like that? Like, I don't really know what people were expecting. I thought he was actually pretty damn solid for a guy coming off of hip surgery. I thought he's looked good this preseason. Really good. Damn good. Sharp. Razor sharp. Yeah, he's made some ill-advised throws. That's what young guys do. He'll only get better by playing. And now that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder, I think he's going to play well this year. So, anyway, Deshaun Watson isn't getting traded, I don't think, this year before the trade deadline or any of that. I think he's going to be traded next offseason when the Texans know exactly what they're getting for him in terms of draft compensation. Some team is going to stink this year. Some team's going to need a quarterback. Some team's going to be desperate enough to trade for Deshaun Watson. Some team's going to be okay with whatever they've been hearing about him and the situation that he's in, and they're going to pull the trigger. That team could be the Philadelphia Eagles. That team could be the Miami Dolphins. I don't think it will be. I think Tua's set up for a big year. That team could be the Las Vegas Raiders. That team could be the Carolina Panthers. It could be a number of teams that are hoping that their quarterback situation is stable, but may realize this year we're running on a hamster wheel and it's not getting any better. So let's hit the reset button with the 25, 26-year-old stud in the prime of his career. Somebody will be willing to give it up. But as of right now, I don't think the Texans should be willing to move Deshaun Watson until they know exactly what they're getting for him. So we'll see what happens with that situation, but we'll continue to monitor this. But I think you won't hear, once football starts, you won't hear too much about this. This goes onto the back burner, because once ball starts, that's all people want to talk about. That's all I want to talk about. We save all of the drama and the extra shit for the offseason when there's nothing else to talk about but that. So 2 more weeks of talking about this, and then you won't hear about this until the end of the season. Until we get towards the end of the season and there's some stinky teams out there and their quarterback situation is in the dumps. And that's when you'll start hearing Deshaun Watson's name surface again. But everybody's hopeful right now. Everybody's hopeful. So we'll see what happens. But that's going to do it for me, your man Louis T, on the 196th installment of the Louis T Network podcast. I thank you guys for joining me. The next time we go slate skating, it'll be for real. Oh my gosh, it's going to feel so good. Bart Scott. Can't wait. Anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. If you're a Washington fan, you may see my face a little bit later on in your space. I'm thinking about doing a video talking about the roster and some more cuts and things that I think could take place, and having some more candid discussions. Being that this isn't going to be a normal Wednesday show where we get to chop it up, I may, do a little bit of that with you guys over the next couple of nights. We'll see how my schedule shakes out. But in any event, it's going to do it for me, your man, Louis T. I thank you guys for joining me. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louis T. Until next time, you guys, take care. Do me a huge solid on the way out, please. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Turn on the notification bell and hit the like button. You guys have done a really good job after I had to give you a tongue lashing. You guys have done a fantastic job of hitting the like button. We're almost at 100. Why not get to 100 on the way out, though? Still over 130 of you out there, okay? Really do appreciate you guys, and I'm going to thank you in advance. So if you haven't done so, check out that video. I put the link down in the comment section of this video to the Caveman's video that I did with him last week. We talked about a number of topics. If you like this podcast, which if you're here, you probably do, you'll enjoy that show. So I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Louis T Network.